Hi there, this is Crystal, and I'm back with another 12 by 12 layout for Hip Kit Club. Today I'm working with a sketch. This is Sketch Friday, and there is a sketch challenge going on the Hip Kit Club Facebook group, so be sure to go check that out. This is this week's sketch. It was made by Lisa, and as you can see, there's this large bear here, but she put a note that says any cute paper pieced animal or cut file or flowers or something, just a large element on the page is really all that represents. When you're working with a sketch, it's just kind of an outline, and then it's up to you to fill in all the details with whatever supplies you have or whatever things you want to scrapbook. So for me, I decided to use a cut file. So one of this month's cut files is this crab, and when I first saw it, I thought, I would never use it. I'm a very literal scrapbooker. We live in the Midwest. We don't ever have crab. So I thought that's one that will likely never get used. But then my partner Jesse went on a little vacation with some of his college buddies and sent me this photo. And I had to literally laugh out loud, because not only is he holding a bag of crabs that they're about to cook, but he is making the exact same gesture as the crab in the cut file. So it was meant to be. I have to use this one with this photo. I have to do it. It's going to make me laugh probably for the rest of my life. So anyway, that is what I'm starting with. I'm not sure about a title. I'll probably pull a title from the Pinkfresh Studio Puffy stickers. In fact, I'm thinking maybe that Fun Day because of his blue shirt. Obviously, I need to do some mixed media on the background. I'm sorry if you can hear the rain. It just all of a sudden is downpouring in our neighborhood, so sorry about that. But anyway, I want to play around with this a little bit before I do the mixed media, so I can get a better idea of what I might want to put on the background. So I'm probably going to play a bit before I get out my mixed media supplies, just a heads up. Okay, I am going to put you on fast forward and dive in. So I've pretty much convinced myself that I'm going to use this Fun Day puppy sticker as my title. Just because, like I said, I want to include some of the blue color that's in his shirt in the photo, even though the majority of the layout is going to stick to those more neutral peaches, yellows, oranges, some pink in it that's in the photo and in the crab and in the papers that I'm going to choose to back up the photo as well. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going through the papers that I have pulled out from the kit. I really want to include this orange plaid one just because it reminds me of a shirt he has. It's a very similar pattern, and I feel like he would wear that paper as a shirt if he could. So I thought that was a good enough reason to include it. I am going to use some white cardstock to back the photo just to make it feel more separate from the background layers, just a little bit more. That's going to create just a little bit of a barrier between all that color in the photo and all that color in the papers, and just make that photo stand out a bit. There you can see the paper I used to cut the crab. I strategically placed the cut file on that paper to get the colors that I did in the crab, and those are really going to be the colors that I use for this entire layout. So I'm just trimming down the rest of it to try and use as a layer behind my photo, really just playing around with all of these gorgeous papers. I love the colors in this kit so much. I hate to say it, but it reminds me of fall a little bit. Even though everything I'm creating is very summery, it has that fall vibe, and even though I'm not ready for fall to be here in actuality, like in weather, I am so ready for fall scrapbooking. It is my favorite time of year to document. So yeah, I'm feeling those fall vibes just a little bit and loving it. But this is not a fall layout. It doesn't end up looking at all fallish. So that just goes to show you how versatile these kits are. Okay, so I'm just kind of playing around with some embellishments, getting an idea of where everything's going to sit on the page before I take all of this off and start with my mixed media. So here we are with the mixed media. I'm starting with just a sheet of marshmallow cardstock from Basil. This is from a previous cardstock kit. And I'm going to add some white gesso on top of it. And I give it a pretty heavy layer of gesso just because I want to make sure that this doesn't warp on me. I don't want to have to deal with a warped page. And I'm not entirely sure yet exactly where the mixed media is going to go. If I knew it was going to go in just the center, I might add it just there. But I'm not entirely sure. So I'm just going to cover the whole page just to be safe. That also helps prevent that kind of discolored look that you can sometimes get from white gesso. when it looks slightly different from the background. When I had lots of extra gesso, of course I used way too much, so I just grabbed an extra sheet of cardstock and I'm just wiping some of that off on there just so that I don't waste it. So I'm using the July color kit for this spread, and here are the Lindy sprays that I'm using, and I showed you really quickly the tester that I did. This was the first time I had used them, so I wanted to make sure I was well aware of the tonal quality of each of them. So I just sprayed a little bit on some scrap paper and got an idea of what they were going to look like on my page. So I hit this page with my heat gun just a little bit to make sure that gesso was completely dry, and then I sprayed it with water before adding a little bit of the mist. So there is the yellow one with some water, and I'm just picking up the page to move it around using my brush to make sure that I get it exactly where I want it. I'm also adding a little bit of the pink. I'm trying to create those peachy pink tones, kind of orangey peachy pink tones in the papers. That's what I'm trying to do. Just mixing the colors on the page with some water to make sure that they aren't too vibrant. These are really, really vibrant colors, and I don't want this to be a vibrant background. All of the papers that I'm using are very kind of muted, so I don't want it to stand out and distract from everything I'm putting on top of it. I just want it to be a complement to them. So I'm making sure to add lots of water and using both my heat tool and my brush to move things around the page, picking up some of it because it was still looking just a little bit too vibrant to me. Just trying to get a good light background to add everything on top of. So I was using a rag to pick some of it up. I'm going to add a bit more. This is a little bit more washed out than I wanted it to be, and I do want to add some more of that pink to get more of that peachy orangey color. So again, just adding lots of water and again using my heat tool to move it around along with my brush. Kind of hold one in one hand and the other in the other hand at times just to make sure things go exactly where I want them on the page. It is a messy process, that is, but I try and get as much control as I can on some pages like this one, just because I don't want the background to get out of control. So you can see I've created a larger area on the right hand side because I know my photo and title are both going to go there, and I want to be able to see all of that mixed media behind it, which is why I keep bringing the photo back over and placing it to make sure that there is plenty of mixed media showing behind it. And of course the cut file is going to be on the left side. It's not as big, so I didn't need as much of an area covered on that side. So then I just added a few splatters in 3 areas. These are going to be kind of the 3 focal points, the visual triangle, if you will, around all of my photo and layers and all of that. Okay, so off camera I have cleaned up all of my mixed media mess and I'm ready to start putting this layout together. So I just trimmed off the marketing strip on the bottom of this paper, and I'm going to start laying things out back where I had them and trying to decide what I want to do for embellishment. So I have that little flag from One Canoe 2, from the dimensional embellishments from One Canoe 2, and I think it says good vibes only. I really liked it. I really wanted to include it on this page, but it just didn't fit. It was the wrong scale for what I had on the page. It was just too big wherever I put it, so it doesn't end up making it on the page, unfortunately. But I do end up adding some other things from that embellishment set. To adhere the crab, I decided I wanted to pop it up on some foam adhesive. So I cut the foam adhesive I had down into tiny, tiny little squares. I don't make you watch all that. It took several minutes for me to cut all those and place them and take all the backing off and then stick it down. I'm also going to pop up the center. Of course, the center of this is a separate piece, so you could definitely do it from a separate piece of paper or do something different, or just leave that one adhere directly to the page maybe and pop up the other, but I decided to treat it kind of as one piece, and I'm going to use foam adhesive behind both of those pieces and just stick them down to the page. I really like how this adds some shadowing behind the cut file, and it makes it feel a little bit more dimensional and gives it a little bit more visual interest. Okay, so now going back to all of the embellishments. So I already went through the die cut packs that came in these kits and pulled out some things that I thought I might want to use. So I didn't make you watch me sort through all of those. I just have the ones that I thought might work in a little bin next to me. I'm just kind of going through and seeing what fits. So I'm going to add a little frame from Pinkfresh Studio. I just cut it in half and added half to each side of my photo. It was blue. It matched the title, the Fun Day title, and it just added another little pop of blue as a layer behind my photo. So I really liked that. I'm also picking out lots of little phrases. Not all of those are going to work on the page. There were also a couple shells in the Hip Kit Club exclusive die cut pack, and I pulled those out because in the photo he's holding crabs in one hand and I don't know what they are because I'm not a seafood person, but some kind of shelled seafood thing in the other. So I thought that worked really well as well. So those are gonna make it. Those are gonna stay on the page. And I also like that the blue one brought a little bit of blue over to the left side of the page next to the crab. I'm adhering down the title directly above my photo. I like the way that looks. It's gonna stay there. And I'm just trying to figure out how to fit all of these little pieces onto the page. There was that little die cut arrow piece that says 100% fun. That's going to go right where it is now, under the F of the title. And then there was this, it looks very nautical to me. It's a flag from the One Canoe 2 dimensional embellishments. I don't really know if it's nautical, but that's the way it looks to me. So I thought it worked well on this page. I just added it below my photo. Again, it brings more blue and it ties all those colors together. So it has the kind of orangey and yellow and the blue all together on that one piece. So I thought it worked really well to kind of tie everything together and make it all make sense. I'm also adding a little label to the bottom of the page. I think that is where my date is going to go, if I remember correctly. And there was another dimensional piece, a camera, that's what it's called, a camera. I'm going to add that there in the bottom corner. I'm just creating a little cluster there in the bottom corner of my photo where I added those splatters, and then another one by the crab where the shell is, and another little phrase sticker or a phrase die cut. And then under my title, there's another little cluster there. So that's kind of a visual triangle. It didn't quite match up with the splatters that I added, but that's fine. It works for me. And then I think this is just about it for this layout. I do decide to add some enamel dots just because I wanted a little bit more of that blue color around the page. So I'm going to sprinkle a few of those in each of the cluster areas, just the blue ones, just again to tie in a bit more of that color. And they kind of act as splatters in this sense. So I think that worked out well. And then the top and bottom of the page were looking just a little bit blank to me. So I end up doing what I've done so often lately and tearing some strips of paper and gluing them to the top and bottom of the page. I didn't tear the background this time. I just tore some paper and added it to the top. So that's what I'm doing right here. And then that's going to be it for this page. So it came together fairly quickly. I think the mixed media definitely took the longest. Otherwise, it's a pretty simple page after that. But I really love how it turned out, and I'm so happy I was able to use that crab cut file. I never thought I would. It just makes me giddy to think that it's on a page. So I hope that you have all enjoyed this video and that you found some inspiration, and maybe you can find a way to use the crab cut file for yourself. If you do, I'd love to see it. Be sure to tag me on social media or put a link in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all back here very soon.